Welcome to Contemporary Black Voices, where we take on the most pressing issues confronting Black America. I am your host, the writer Fred, and joining me are Professor Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, New York Times bestselling author Caleb Alexander, and businessman and community activist Chris Dawkins. Before we get into our subject for this particular show, I want to acknowledge that today, January 6th, commemorates the third year when a radical racist group Donald Trump supporters attempted to overthrow our government by sabotaging the legitimate election of Joe Biden to the presidency. 3 years later, the radical right wing of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives are now in charge of one branch of the national government. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, was one of the many to support the efforts of that group who attacked the Capitol and attempted to overturn the 2020 election. As of today, Trump is running neck and neck with Biden in a repeat of the 2020 presidential campaign. Also in the upcoming 2024 senatorial contest, 20 Democrats are up for re-election and 3 independents that caucus with the Democrats. However, Kristen Sinema, a Democrat from Arizona, has already abandoned the party, and West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has decided not to run for re-election, pretty much assuring that a Republican will win that seat in a solidly red state. 10 Republicans are up for re-election, and there are 2 special elections to fill the seats of the late Dianne Feinstein of California and Ben Sasse from Nebraska. Some political campaign predictors give the Republicans a strong possibility of winning enough of the Democratic-held seats in the Senate and retain control of the House of Representatives. What I consider the real nightmare, and I know a lot of you disagree with me, but this is me, nightmare for Black America, is that the House remains in the hands of the radical Republicans, the Senate flips to the Republicans, and Trump wins re-election. That segues me into our subject for today. With the possibility of Trump's re-election to the White House and the House and Senate in the hands of the Republicans, what is the outlook for Black America as we move through 2024 and into 2025. We are fortunate to have with us today a man who has been out front on issues important to Black America, not only here in San Antonio, Texas, but nationwide, Mr. T.C. Calvert. If there is anyone who has a crystal ball into the future, it is Mr. Calvert, and I welcome him to Contemporary Black Voices. Welcome,
well, thank
T.C.
you, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody that's out there listening to this show. Listen, on the local level, the good news is that we're making progress.
Okay.
But when it comes to the Senate, on a statewide level across our nation, that's where we have a problem. That's why we have to continue to do voter registration, voter education, and continue to get our people out. Let me tell you, we can flip these states, especially if you look at big states like California and Texas, Fred. If we can get young people to get out and vote, and the Hispanics, like in South Texas, to come out and vote, but vote for their interests and not against their self-interest,
Right, yeah.
we can flip this state.
With that said, why don't you tell us, our viewers, what's going on here?
Look, this is hot. We're going to be doing a big voter registration drive. The Bexar County Voting Rights Coalition, which we put together a coalition of young people who head up raffle registrars, Black Freedom Factory, Jolt Action, the Move Group. These are powerful groups, and they don't play. And the reason we flipped a lot of elections in the great state of Texas and other places is because of these young people and their voter registration efforts. So the Neighborhoods First Alliance will have a big deputizing event on this coming Tuesday, right across the street from this studio at the Calvert Library.
Okay.
We're going to have a pre-leadership meeting at 4:30, and we'll start deputizing at 5.
Okay.
Arrive with 5.
Okay.
What do you say arrive with 5?
Okay, right with 5.
That's right.
So how can, if some of our viewers here in the area want to participate, how do they contact you?
They could contact me at 210-226-9041, 210-226-9041. I know a lot of the young people do everything by email and high tech, but I'm still old fashioned and I do it the old fashioned way because we still have to keep it real.
Okay.
Because everybody ain't A lot of voters, now listen to me carefully, because here comes $1 million worth of information.
Okay.
A lot of the voters that we need to reach, some of them don't have a computer. Some of them don't do high tech. So you got to still pick up that phone and you got to be on that door.
Okay. Okay. So can we look at this nationwide? What politically or economically, what does it look like for us as Black Americans if the Trump team takes control in 2025? And what's going to be happening in this year as both Biden, who's losing Black votes, he's announcing his campaign next week, I think, in South Carolina. Obviously, we know why he's doing that. He's afraid of losing the Black vote. There's a lot of young Blacks who are saying, hey, we're going to go with Trump. What is our outlook?
Well, first of all,
either way.
Well, first of all, you can't believe in all the polls.
Okay.
You can't believe what mainstream media says. I can tell you right now, Black America is going to vote for Joe Biden.
Okay.
Okay? Let's keep it real. They're not going to support Trump. Trump has never been our friend. Okay? And if Trump gets in, it's going to be worse for Black America than it is now. So we need to stick with Joe Biden.
Okay.
Because Joe Biden, let me just tell you, Joe Biden owes it to Black America.
Yeah.
Black America is what got Joe Biden elected.
Yeah.
And he understands that. His people understand that. But you got to remember, he still has to try to get a small percentage of some of the white vote and some of the Hispanic vote and some of the male vote. Trump's biggest supporters are white male America. And I can tell you right now, I talk to a lot of my Republican friends, and I have a lot of Republican friends. They ain't supporting Trump. They feel he's a criminal and he should be in jail.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the real deal.
Okay. I think Chris has a question.
This is a very, very large issue, especially when it comes to the voting. So my question is really, when we begin to look at the voting, before I came, I looked at some statistics. The Pew reported that I think Black vote was maybe 16% of the vote, and they said 75% of that was, no, I'm sorry, not 75, 30% of that was out of the state of Georgia. So my question becomes is, as we talk about these young people and our future for America, and as we look at them, they don't seem to understand why we should vote, why we've had to vote, and what the vote will do for them. So as we begin to either register people, we have the tendency to register those people who are the friends of us, who will always and will continue to vote. But the question becomes is, how are we going to protect our future by being able to get those folks to understand that we need their vote? If they understood that and they voted in the numbers that we know that they could vote in, we would not even be having this discussion about Trump or anything else.
Well, look, I've been at this business a long time.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep it real here, and I'm going to give you $2 million worth of information.
Thank you.
People vote their pocketbook, and people vote for the issues. The main reason the Neighborhood First Alliance has been successful across this country is we ask people, hey, Mr. Fred, what is your top 3 issues? And so you have to be able to deal with people with their issues. And when you deal with their issues, that's to their self-interest. Self-interest is what makes people go out and vote. It's the same thing with young people. Young people are concerned about the cost of living just like anybody else. But, you know, the mainstream press tries to blame everything on Biden. Biden ain't controlling everybody. Biden don't control oil and gas.
I agree.
People make it look like Biden, Fred, owns Gulf and Texaco and Shell. You better ask somebody who really is in control. But it's the powers to be.
But isn't that the fact that the Democrats are losing the PR game? Republicans are kicking
their butt. You just hit
their
the nail
butt.
on the head. You just hit the nail on the head. The Democrat Party, and I say this, and I hope they, and I don't care who understands. The Democrat Party has the worst marketing and PR that I've ever seen in America. It's terrible.
Let the church say amen.
It's terrible. It's terrible. They don't really know what they're doing. And the Republicans do a better job. But the Republicans do not have our self-interest. And that's why, you know, most Black America is going to vote Democrat.
I want to give you a little bit of pushback.
Go ahead.
I want to give you a little bit of pushback because, you know, you talked about those young people having the same interest as voting in pocketbook and different things like that. I think we thought like that in the past. And I'm not so sure that it's been good to us in thinking that way. These young kids, and especially some of them that are coming out of high school, they're becoming the age of 18 to be able to vote. I'm not so convinced that we have their ear to be able to get to them.
Well, Dawkins, let me tell you why you don't have there. Because we're not teaching it in the school.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about when we get to the college level.
Okay.
It has to start at the elementary level.
I agree.
You don't hear me talking.
Yes, I
what
do.
you have to do is that our school districts around this state have to begin to teach young people, even at the kindergarten age, that politics is everything. When you come into this world, you're going to be spanked on your butt by a politician. When you leave this world, you're going to be, death certificate is going to be signed by a politician. The water you drink, if you make kids understand the water you drink, it's politics involved. The air you breathe, it's politics involved. The car you drive, it's politics involved.
But
we have not, Dawkins, done a good job.
But one last question, Fred.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I agree with everything that you said, but they don't want to teach our black kids.
Well, of course not.
And we are not doing it for ourselves.
Well, let me just say this about that. I'm glad you brought up black. When you got people in the state of Texas like Governor Abbott, yeah, I said his name.
Okay.
And people like Patrick, yeah, I said his name, trying to erase black history, we got a serious problem all across the southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, by these right-wing MAGA Republicans who are trying to erase black history. Let me say this to them, and I hope they listen to me. You will never be able to erase black history. As a matter of fact, you help us every time you say you want to do away with black history. We sell more books, and we get more people involved in black history. All my social media lights up. Ever since the Republicans and Abbott and them came out talking about we want to get away with black history, there's more black history stuff on social media than I've ever seen in the time that I've been on this earth. So keep on talking about erasing our history. Yes, I said it.
How do you respond to blacks that are saying, well, we voted for Biden, he's not doing anything for us? It's like they have this, what have you done for me lately attitude.
Well, that's because they have not been educated to find out that it takes over 400 or 216 votes. Let me tell you something. My son is a county commissioner, and I got people want him to run for Congress. I told my son, you should never run for Congress because you'll never get anything done. You're better off being a county commissioner where you can deal with the corruption at the courthouse than what you deal with in the national politics. So basically, you have to be able to get the vote. And we haven't done a good job of explaining that to people. Politics is a contact sport. Everybody say contact sport.
Contact sport.
It's a contact sport. And it's nasty.
Yeah.
And it's ugly. But you got to know how to raise above it. And that's what we've been able to do. Let me tell you, I'm going to go back to the issues. When you deal with people's issues, Dawkins, they're going to get involved. I've been doing this kind of work for 52 years. And that's why people get involved. We don't work around T.C. Calvert's issue. It's not a T.C. production. It's about what Miss Lucille wants, what Miss Gonzalez wants on Portacita Street, what they want on Zarzamora Street, what they want on Honey Boulevard, what they want, on Rio Grande. That's what it's all about. And when you deal with that, you're going to win every time.
Okay, so with that said, we're going to take a break here. We'll come back and continue this discussion after our break.